really nice to see you again today. It's a lovely sunny afternoon here in South Wales, and well, for the middle of September it really is quite warm, which is, I suppose, lovely in itself. I know I usually do pen reviews, a lot of pen reviews, or sort of certainly primarily pen reviews, but I've been sent some inks and I certainly get a lot of requests to do some more ink, I wouldn't say reviews, but just sort of, you know, a look at some different brands of inks and give you some sort of colour comparisons and my thoughts on those. I know I've done my favourite top 5 inks of 2015, and I've done a video that shows my vast collection of inks, which just gets bigger far too quickly, especially with the sort of, you know, the use of sort of sample bottles that are so readily available now everywhere. So I wanted to give you an idea of which ones I like and which ones I sort of go back to, and really when I discover new inks, which ones I find sort of that I've enjoyed and really want to look more into the colours of them. So today I'm actually looking at Private Reserve inks. Not widely used over here in the UK, an American firm, so not hugely sort of well known here over this side of the pond. However, the colour choices are really quite something, and that's what sort of drew me to them, and that's what I was really sort of happy and grateful when the writing desk asked if we wanted to have a look at them, those of us at the United Kingdom, if we wanted to have a look. So we've been sent 3 sample bottles each to have a look at, and I was fortunate to have been given Orange Crush, Ebony Purple and Avocado to have a look at. So I've done some swabs and some ink samples, so I'm not going to write with them sort of here, but I'm going to show you what they look like and how they appear on the page. But I'll let you know what I've sort of thought of them as I was sort of been trying them now. I've had them for probably a couple of months, so I've tried them in various pens. But what struck me more than anything with the Private Reserve inks is how saturated the colours are. The colours really pop, and I think that was the aim over at Private Reserve, really, when these inks were manufactured, were colours that stood out and that really were quite striking on the page, and they are. And even those darker colours really sort of shine through, and you'll see that, because I've got 2 darker colours and I've got an orange which really does, it's beautiful. And you know, with some oranges they're not very practical to use, but this one, it really is quite something. They're particularly quick drying inks. I've used them in all sorts of pens. They flow beautifully well. They're not particularly wet, they don't take forever to dry, they dry fairly quickly on the page, which is a real bonus if you're taking notes or you're journaling and you need to sort of turn those pages over quickly when you're moving between them. You haven't got the time to wait for the ink to dry to turn the page over. So really a nice feature that comes with these inks. And the colours are fantastic. There's 53 colours in all. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to turn the camera around in just a moment, and we'll have a look at these colours closer in detail, the 3 that I have, and then I'll post a link so you can see the other colours that are available. As I said, these were sent to us by the writing desk here in the UK, so I'll post a link to their site with them, and we'll have a look very soon. Bye. Welcome back. Okay, so we're talking about Private Reserve inks, and these are the 3 that I was sent. So I sent them in these little sample bottles here, well, not that little, 5ml sample bottles, which are ideal when you're first starting out looking at different inks and you don't want to go to the expense of a full bottle that you may not like or haven't got space to keep or anything like that. I have probably 40 or 50 of these different sample bottles for different things, and then I tend to, if I really like them, then I tend to go and buy a full bottle of them, and then still keep the sample because they're useful then to sort of take out and about. So I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Right, so these are the 3 I was sent by the writing desk to have a look at from Private Reserve. And do you know what? This was sort of very fortunate, for myself, or that I was already looking at some Private Reserve inks because the colours really stood out. And there's a couple of blues on there that I really love the look at, and the look of. Sorry, not the look at. And I'm going to be making an order, another order of inks from the Private Reserve collection on the back of this, because I've been very, very happy with the way that these write and the colours that are available with these. You know, they're something quite sort of special, really. So let me put them the right way around. So this is the Avocado. As you see from the bottle here, let me take the lid off. I'm not sure avocado is necessarily the right description of it. I suppose it depends whether you're talking of the outside of the avocado or the inside of the avocado. I mean, it certainly doesn't remind me of guacamole, but, you know, and it's slightly lighter, I believe, than the outside of an avocado, so possibly not the best description, you know, descriptor to be used, really. You know, for me, it's very much a woodland sort of green colour, but they are quite striking. You know, they're very saturated inks, which is what I really enjoy. You know, there's nothing worse than a sort of an ink that you can't really quite see what it is, and, you know, it's a bit, for me, you know, an ink that's a bit blur. You know, it's there, it's nothing sort of special, really. And which is why those of us, when we start looking into ink bottles, we don't just sort of, we're not satisfied with a black ink or a blue ink, or, you know, there's so many inks in between. So this is Private Reserve Avocado. Let me see if I can get in a little closer for you there. There we are. And get that to focus again. Right, so this is the Avocado. So I wrote each of these with my glass dip pen. So they are darker because there's a lot of ink on there. It hasn't gone through a pen mechanism, it's just come straight off a glass, you know, off a glass dip pen. So the writing is even deeper than you'd see, and obviously it's quite a thick sort of writing. And then this here was made with that dip pen as well. Now this here is a swab that I did using a cotton wool bud, which is how I keep my swab box. For those of you that don't know, sorry with the inky fingers, I've been playing with inks most of the afternoon. For those of you that don't know, I keep an index card box that has an index card for every ink that I own, and I've sort of categorised it by colour. So that, you know, if I'm looking, when I'm changing my pens out each weekend, I'll have a look at what I fancy using today. So this is the Avocado. As I say, nice green. It's not as deep as it sort of appears from here. When you start writing with it and you flow sort of quite nicely with it, it comes out as this lovely sort of woodland green. Particularly nice now for the autumn that we're coming up, and this is what I think, you know, we've got here, 3 very nice autumnal colours. Right, so moving on, we've got the Orange Crush. Now, my favourite, without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite orange that I found, and my favourite of these 3 inks. I mean, even just looking at it like that, if you look at that there, that beautiful orange colour, it's deep enough to be sort of practical, but it's still very clearly orange. I did have a look, and it is fairly similar to Diamine's Pumpkin, but this is more saturated. It's slightly darker than that, and you can see on here, you know, what a colour. It's showing a little brighter on here than it actually is. It's showing a little, you know, very, very orange on here. It actually is more of a pumpkin type colour. I don't know if I move that, whether it looks any different now. But it is a beautiful, beautiful orange. And with that green, makes some fantastic autumn coloured pens or inks to be used. I've put this in my TWSBI 580 in the lava orange, and it looked amazing. I also put it in my, it was my Conklin All-American in the, oh, what colour, which finish is it? It's the Yellowstone. So it's got beautiful yellow and brown tones, and that orange coming out of it was really quite lovely. So, beautiful autumn colour, very well behaved, nice flow to it, no issues whatsoever. I know this all sounds maybe a little boring because it's all very positive, but it is very positive. I've had no negative sort of experience with these inks whatsoever. And then lastly here we've got the Ebony Purple. Probably my least favourite of them. I'm not a huge fan of dark purple inks or dark, you know, even I used to, when I first started looking at inks, I used to love blue-black inks. Now, not so much. I really love a bright colour, something that really sort of stands out. It just makes writing more interesting, particularly in work. I find it, you know, it's a more pleasurable sort of experience when you're making notes in a meeting, to have a nice colour ink that you're using. Or when you're sending paperwork back to head office. As yet, nobody sent it back. Maybe one day. But anyway, you could get away with this, I think, in work, because it is so dark that it's almost a deep midnight type blue. It's very similar to, I've got Mont Blanc's midnight blue, and it is very similar to that, and also Diamine's midnight. They are both, you know, they're very sort of heavily deep saturated blues, but this has got a purple tinge, which you can see here in this ink bottle. Let me just put that down to the side. I'm terrified of dropping it on this white desk. Fionn would not be amused. Let's see if I can focus in. There, I should say it's got this purpley tone to it, but it's certainly a blue undertone to that you can see there. Again, nice saturation, nice flow, no issue whatsoever. You know, if you've got a dry pen, this will flow really nicely through a dry pen, and really worth, you know, really worth taking a punt at. So these aren't particularly expensive. Let me go back so you can see them all while I finish talking to you there. I know it hasn't been particularly exciting just looking at 3 inks, I suppose, all the way through this. I'll bring the bottles in so it looks a little bit more interesting. My nails, I've had them done. I'm sure I'll get some comments. $7.99, 66ml, $7.99 here in the UK. I'm not sure what they are in the US. Probably a little easier, a little cheaper, or better value, because you're not paying the import over here and the particularly weak pound that we have at the moment. But $7.99, you know, £8 for 66ml worth of ink, I think is a good deal. You know, it's not particularly expensive when you're looking at the likes of the sort of pilot inks that are up in the sort of £30 mark. And some of the other sort of J-Urban, the 1670s, you know, £15, £16 ink, bottle inks. £8 I think is a nice, actually it's a sort of one of the most inexpensive sort of ink bottles, so you know, you'll have around now, other than Diamine here in the UK, because it is a British ink and very, you know, so it very widely available over here. But £8 for 66ml worth of this ink, definitely worth it. I'm going to be heading out and I'm going to be looking to get some more bottles of this. And if you were sitting on the fence, or if you've never heard of this ink company before, definitely check it out. Any questions, please do let me know, and I'll get back to you very soon. I have got some more inks coming up that I'm going to be looking at, ink brands for you. But for now, have a lovely day and enjoy the rest of your time. Bye.